Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with the Focus. Um, as always, start off talking about last night's playoff games in the association. Uh, we'll start with what happened out of Miami. Oh, before we do that, just remind anybody, first time tuning in, we're here every morning. If the mornings that we're not here, we'll let you guys know. Start times usually between 9:30 and 10:30, or not within that hour. Usually we will be started every morning, as you guys see up on the screen. Open discussion. Open discussion. So if you got topics you guys want us to address, comments you want to share on the subjects that we're already planning to discuss, do that. Use the comment section. Let us know. Eventually we get enough folks in here. We'll start taking live callers, etc. Again, I'm gonna start with the NBA playoffs. We saw two teams last night. We had two games last night. Both we saw two teams take a 2-0 lead in their respective series. We'll start with Miami's 119 to 103 win over the Philadelphia 76ers, who have now played games 1 and 2 without their star center Joel Embiid. The Heat used the 10-0 fourth quarter run to make an 8-point lead, balloon to 18. The Sixers shot the ball from the floor a bit better than they did in game one, but still struggle to find their range from deep, shooting just 26% from three. Tyrone Maxey led the way with 34 points. Tobias Harris added 21, and Harden chipped in with 20 points and 9 assists. Those three were the only ones that scored in double figures for the Sixers. As for Miami, the Heat shot 51% from the floor, 48 from three. Four players scored in double figures. You had Bam Adebayo with 23 points and 9 rebounds. Jimmy Butler finished with 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 12 assists. Keep in mind, they're without their floor general and Kyle Lowry. They also had two players hit double figures who came off the bench. Obviously, one of them is Tyler Hero, who was named this year's sixth man of the year. Well deserving at that. But it was, Victor Oladipo along with Tyler Hero. They scored 19 and 18 respectively. Oladipo had 19. Tyler with 18. They also combined for 13 rebounds, the two of them. What Oladipo has given them has been huge. All year they've been patient with him, trying to let him rehab and get back, get right. And it's paying off at a time when they needed it. Honestly, with Lowry down, you needed the extra help. It's put Gabe Vincent into the starting lineup, so it's altered their depth a little bit. But having a player the caliber of Oladipo that could come off your bench and help is huge. It's another athletic guard that can defend. Last night he shot the ball extremely well. I think he was 3 for 4 from deep. Both he and Tyler Hero hit three triples apiece. However, Miami's done what they're supposed to do. You're the home team. You're supposed to win your first two games at home. It's not a shock. It's the issue is when the visiting team splits a game. Then things get interesting because then home court could be taken. That advantage could be taken away depending on how things play out. Now that the series shifts to Philadelphia, a lot of this for the Sixers, it just depends on the health of Joel Embiid. Orbital fracture, a couple other injuries. They can get him back. It'll help their chances tremendously. He's an MVP caliber player. Look, man, all I know is his team sorely needs him. Really needs him. And I'm sure even if it's 70% of him right now, it's better than 100% of the guys that they're rolling out on the floor at the five right now. They really need Embiid. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to send this. Send something for somebody. All right. On to the second of the two games last night. Yeah, there was nobody else I could think of to put up on the screen outside of this man in front of you, Chris Paul, man. I know everyone, the year 18, year 19, LeBron stuff, and deservedly so. Been playing for a while. It's amazing that he's still at the level he's at. That energy needs to be passed on needs to be shared, needs to be equally met for Chris Paul as well. Honestly, that's the best way. I can say it. It just needs to. What he's been able to do for Phoenix has been huge. We've seen him over the past couple years. What he does for young teams. He's the reason Phoenix was able to take the jump they took this past year. It's him. Don't get it mixed up for anything else other than that. It's Chris Paul. That said, the Suns show why they made the finals last year and why they've been a favorite out west all year long. 129-109 win last night over the Mavericks. Chris Paul delivered the blow that he's the reason it went from a close game into a rout. He scored 14 of his 28 points in the fourth quarter. Phoenix led by just 6 after 3 quarters. They led 89-83. CP3 started the fourth by hitting 6 consecutive shots. That sparked this team's finishing kick, and they would outscore Dallas 40-26 in the final frame. Devin Booker led the Suns with 30 points. As I mentioned, Chris Paul had 28. Jay Crowder, and Mikal Bridges had 15 points and 11 points respectively. A clinic offensively by the Suns. That's what happens when your floor general is one of the best all time. They shot 64% from the floor, 52% from deep. Luka Doncic had another big game for the Mavs, but Phoenix is content with him going off if no one else joins the party. Luka had 35 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. He also had 7 turnovers. Those 7 turnovers by himself were one more turnover than the Suns had as a team in last night's game. Reggie Bullock and Spencer Dinwiddie were the only other Dallas players that hit double figures with 16 and 11 respectively. It's going to be uproad battle for the Mavs. Uphill battle rather for the Mavs as we see this postseason. I don't care how special that one player you might have. If they don't have help, man, good teams are going to load up and they're going to accept their fate. And we've seen this happen across multiple series. Dallas has to get other folks involved, and even then, man, Phoenix is who Phoenix is for a reason. There's no games tonight. The playoffs return tomorrow night, and it's game 3 of literally these 2 series. So, one series, Phoenix and Dallas. That series now shifts to Dallas. In the first series, Miami and Philadelphia. That series will be shifting to Philadelphia. Going to bring Justin on as we transition to some other things. All right, Justin, what's going on this morning?
Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Good. All right, so I know there's a couple things you want to talk about. Where'd you want to talk about? You want to start with your man Jerry and his list? Start.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So
you have it, or
the floor is yours. Go ahead.
We were looking at somehow during the after the press conference after the draft, while trying to prove that the Cowboys had Tyler Smith ranked in a certain spot. Jerry Jones and forgot how the internet worked and decided to flash his list to prove it. And someone took a picture of it. I think he did the same thing last year, so he didn't understand that people can freeze frame it and zoom in, and found the list. And just kind of shows how the Cowboys work. Like, not saying we agree with the list or whatever, but they did have Tyler Smith 16th. But what was odd about it was they had Lewis Cine 13, I believe, and just decided to go with Lewis Cine had first round grade and Tyler Smith had a second round grade, which kind of shows, like we were saying, that the Cowboys went in with guard or tackle on their mind regardless. Like, it was the guy was gonna be the pick unless Neal, Ekwonu, or Cross was there. So, like, just kind of, we talk about how different teams draft, and the Cowboys, from the second they lost that game to San Francisco, they just decided it's going to be offensive line. And then when they didn't get Randy Gregg, it was going to be defensive end. And then when they let Amari Cooper go, it was going to be wide receiver. And that's the order they went in. More so than even just players. I mean, even more so than just, hey, this is the best player available. It was best player available at this position, which in my opinion isn't the best way to draft. But we just wanted to look at, we're going to go through some of the names and, try to figure out why they had the list the way they did, because it jumps all over the place the way that list was. I heard there was a possibility that they may have traded up for a receiver if they fell a little bit. But, all the guys were off the board besides Sign and Tyler Smith, I'm sorry. So it's just weird to see how the Cowboys work still in 2022, that not much has changed and Jerry's still more involved than he should be, which probably explains why they can't win a playoff game.
The fact that he flashed the list is hilarious. And then when you think about where they picked, why? I'm just gonna say it. Just why? You could have got, not to knock Tyler Smith, comparable players at that position later. If you wanted to go traits and bet big on traits, you could have did that in the second round if you so chose. Not gonna lie, if you felt like it was a big need, you could have traded up or tried to trade up. Who knows? Maybe they did try to trade up, but when you think about what was left on the table for them, yeah, that gotta hurt a little bit. You picked 24, Devin Lloyd, Dax Hill, Breece Hall, Kenyon Green. Oh no, Kenyon Green was off at 15. George Karlaftis. 24, right? Kyler Gordon. Man, Tyler Linderbaum was chilling. Keep that in mind. Tyler Linderbaum was on the board at 24.
Right. My question is, even like more so than the pick, was what was the thought process when they were making their rankings? You know what I mean? Like, was it tailored a certain kind of way? Because what I wonder is, if you look at the first page, was if, say, somebody took Tyler Smith, right, and a couple of the other names, would the Cowboys have taken Breece Hall because he's, because he's player 23 or 22 or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, say all those guys are off the list and you pick 24. Now you have 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. Is the next pick automatically Devin? Obviously, it's not, because you skipped over Lewis Cine. But what's the point of making the list if you're going to jump around on the list anyway? You know what I mean? Like, there's no quarterbacks up here, obviously, but like, if you have a quarterback, like, what's the point of you making the list a certain way if you're not making the board? The board is just set up a certain kind of way so we could say, hey, Breece Hall ended up being a star. We had him 12, but we would never have taken him. You know what I'm saying? Like, why spend 10 months making a draft board if you're not even going to go by it?
I do not have the answer to that one. I don't have the answer to that at all.
Maybe it's just hate speaking. My hate for, or just not understand. Like, I don't even question. Like, I don't understand. It's weird. I mean, if you look at it, you can say the Giants killed the draft because they got the Cowboys' top 2 players. But I mean, again, I don't agree with the list in that way. But everyone has a way to view talent. But just the way Dallas went about it, I just feel like there's no way you could say, if you wanted a guard, what you're saying Tyler Smith is, you wouldn't say that Tyler Smith is better than Kenyon Green and Zion Johnson. But the Cowboys base their list off of Tyler Smith's his ability, his perceived versatility. You know what I mean? Because they're perceiving him to move from tackle to guard. Because they probably feel the same way about the other guys, the Neal, Cross, and Aquanu, because the Cowboys were determined to take a guy that could play guard this year, and at some point replace Tyron Smith. Like, that's why Smith got the boost. But it's just kind of like, it's just a team that doesn't really have an actual plan, and that's one of the things that bothers me about it. And again, they're in the right division, so they're probably still winning the division because they're the only team with a quarterback that's proven, and a couple of draft picks hit that, whether, I guess you got to give someone credit, whoever that may be. But it's just a lack of a true plan and an ability to execute it is the part that I think a lot of the people that look at the team with an actual, a real eye, like, we're not homers. People that aren't homers look at the team and say, we're good, but we could be better. Or what's our plan? What's our direction? Are we rebuilding? Are we trying to win a Super Bowl? Are we, not the people that, as soon as last season ends, you blame one person and start moving on to next year's Super Bowl run. Like, the rest of us to actually look at the roster and say, what are we trying to do here? And I think that's the frustrating part about being a Cowboys fan. And, why most people hate the Cowboys and why most people hate Cowboy fans. I mean, I hate Cowboy fans too, so I get it. I get it. But just some type of consistency, you know? Like, we can't say we're trying to win a Super Bowl and then, we didn't even want Randy Gregory, but he left for the same amount of money that you offered him. You know what I mean? So don't pretend you didn't want him because you did. Or, because you lost this player, I have to pick this position, which a lot of fans do. You think you have to take a receiver because you lost a receiver. This third round pick won't be Amari Cooper, probably never will be Amari Cooper, and that's okay. But just like make your team better. There's other ways to make your team better. He wasn't using Amari Cooper right anyway. So you're not even asking this kid to be Amari Cooper. Hoping that Sam Williams, you had to take Sam Williams because you didn't pay Randy Gregory, and now you're going to try to hype Sam Williams up into something he's not. And he's a good player too. Now you're hoping Tyler Smith becomes something that he hasn't even been yet. He was a solid mid-major or low division, whatever, AAC, not in the Power Five, AAC tackle that led the country in holding penalties, or penalties, period. So where is this point that he's going to be an elite guard, which he's never played guard? And I hope, he has potential, he has tools, but we're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, right? So what's the plan? And that's where you just want to see some consistency. And again, I think the kid has the potential. And when I watched him, I was like, I wouldn't mind the Cowboys taking him in the second round, or moving back to get him. But I heard other teams wanted him, so I get it. But by making that pick, then it made the next two picks have to be a certain kind of pick because you needed somebody to hit because this kid's going to take some work. So it's just, again, some teams have it together and some teams don't. And you have hits and misses, but you just want to see the consistency, of what the actual plan is and working toward it. And I don't think anyone can tell you what the Cowboys' plan is.
That's why they get paid the big bucks, right?
No, they struck oil. That's how they got paid.
My fault.
That oil in the backyard. There's oil in the backyard, but still.
Oh man, I was trying to give him some type of credit somewhere, but yeah, I'm sure it's maddening. But like that's the thing. Just talk about the draft period, like this time of year, everybody's fan bases or whatever go nuts because people don't do what they want them to do. Where it's kind of like, you can do that in your fantasy leagues. You can hop on Madden and do whatever you want. Like in this here reality, teams got to do what's best for them, and there's so many different factors that go into it. You have so many different schools of thoughts. I do think one of the most, I think you touched on one of the ones that's the most frustrating, which is I lost this, I need this back. No, you lost this, you need that production. However you go about getting said production is your business, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be apples to apples. And more often than not, when you end up doing that or trying to live that way, you fail. You can't replace dudes that are like one of one. You can't replace them dudes like that. And even if you get a knockoff version, they probably lack the thing that really makes the original, which means you wasted your time. You could have just found a couple of dudes who could master production in different ways, and that's all it is. Get the production. It doesn't have to be, hardly is that ever replacing one player.
Right.
And people really think it's that simple. Oh, I lost Tyreek Hill. This draft is deep. Let me go. Why would you put that pressure on somebody? They're not going to be Tyreek Hill. There's nothing they can do. You're not Tyreek Hill. But what you can do is get your wide receiving core, stack it up as much as you can, because you're going to need all hands on deck because you lost Tyreek Hill. And that's the way you do it. But there's not. Sky Moore is not going to be Tyreek Hill, and Sky Moore doesn't need to be anybody but Sky Moore. And that's that. But
coaching plays a major part. Like the thing that no one puts into it is the coaching plays a part in that. Like that's why some of the good teams can go from us. They were running like, hey, this guy's known for the running game, but he's with this team. Now he's known for his passing game, and now this team runs jet sweep more because they have it's just replacing Amari Cooper could just as easily be giving Tony Pollard more touches. Putting CD outside sometime, being more creative with the play call. Like, just it doesn't have to be one for one because they don't make these people. You're not replacing a $20 million a year receiver with the third round pick, not on purpose. It can happen, but again, just the creativity is why the team last year was talented enough to win a playoff game. But throughout the year, they were able to get by because, again, the division was really bad. So they clinched that division early. And you didn't see the growth of, okay, we know how to use our weapons. We're maximizing certain players. And it never had it didn't click. Whereas a team like the 49ers, they struggle most of the year, but you're seeing things start to click towards the end. Or, things like that. Like the good teams have a way of figuring things out. And that's an issue with the Cowboys. Even it's like you were saying with the fantasy thing. It feels like it's a fantasy because you have an owner involved who, he's not scouting players. He might pop in at the end and like a guy or whatever. But when you start putting names together and you have a fantasy roster, all you can do is blame coaches or blame a player. Like you don't know the system, you don't know the scheme, you don't know why things aren't working. But football doesn't work the way, throwing a bunch of names on a computer and winning a championship. Like, it doesn't work that way. And if you do, the players better be otherworldly. You know what I mean? Like, as good as the Rams' main guys are, McVay plays a part in that. The defensive coordinator plays a part in that. You're putting people in position to have success. And guys like, Jerry Jones is he grabs coaches for a reason. Like, Mark McCarthy's not there because of some great scheme he has. He's there because he won Super Bowl with Green Bay. And he's going to listen to Jerry. Like, that's not what good teams do. A good coach is going to want his own system. He's going to want his own. The first thing a good coach can do is tell Jerry to back up a little bit. You know what I mean? The real ones. That's why Parcells left. That's why Jimmy Johnson left. Like, I don't know, to do what they're trying to do. And again, they actually have a solid roster, but it's just too many people involved and just not enough. I don't know. I just question a lot of the things like that are going on. And again, they're probably still win the division this year. And there's some players that could work out, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like you mentioned with the Rams, a lot of their success is their depth, man. Their depth in the coaching. And again, people get so enamored with the high-profile names, you miss that they still have to fill out their roster. And they've kind of been doing this thing where they went on the margins a lot. Like my guy Mike Sykes talk about, it's about building NBA teams, and it applies to NFL teams too. If you have great players, you have to win on the margins. You have to. And the Rams do a great job of that, where they'll draft somebody, develop them, and then ship them up. And then you start the process over again, because I'm not losing Jalen. I'm not losing Aaron. I just got Matthew. And that's what their scouts get paid for. Go get us folks who can play within our scheme on both sides of the ball. And our big money players, y'all handle your business. We'll take care of everything else. And as simple as that. But again, they that cliche where it's a copycat league. Yeah, it goes for a lot of sport. It goes for all sports. When somebody wins or has success doing something a certain way, but people often every time they copy, they leave out like the most important parts and then wonder why their attempt at it just doesn't work. You can be like, oh man, F the picks. That's cool to a degree, but that means the picks that you do have, you have to hit on at an alarming rate. And your coaching staff has to be good enough to where when you get the guys, that are, you get your day two picks, you're pretty much like they've accepted that we're going to live off late day two and full day three picks. Cool. That's fine, but that's their choice. But that means those picks have to hit. That means they're going into the, rounds 3, 4, 5, 3 through 7, looking for starters. Keep that in mind. You're going in rounds 3 through 7 looking for starters. At worst case, spot duty. But that part gets left out. Is just how do they have money for that? Because the margins. When you keep doing that with the rest of the roster, you can keep affording your high price items. But you have to hit on those picks. When you don't hit on those picks, you're down bad. You are down bad. Like what they do this year. Big Whitworth is gone or whatever. Man, they spent so many picks on offensive line. They just want some answers. If we take enough of them, we'll figure it out. And that's it. You spend some money on Allen Robinson, cool. Still got Van Jefferson, all right. And that's that. They took some safeties last year. We're gonna figure it out. That's what you pay coaches for.
And if those offensive linemen don't work, expect one of next year's picks to be gone mid-season to get a tackle. You know what I mean? That's how they operate. You know, again, as long like we were saying, as long as Donald, Ramsey, Kupp, Stafford, and Kupp, maybe one or two other guys, as long as they're there, they'll work around it. And that's what good teams do. That's what they have a plan, whatever that plan is. Some teams like go young, but for them it's we're going to run our system through the guys, and we can funnel people around them. Whoever they may be, young guys, and use them up and then move them, and then keep moving it. And the picks don't matter. There's no first round pick in most drafts that's going to be Jalen Ramsey. There's going to be Aaron Donald. That's already has the experience, and he's a good player. There's no doubt of okay, if he comes and what if he struggles with this? What if he struggles with off field? What if he struggles with that? Like they know what they have for the next so many years. And when they're tired, when Ramsey and Donald start to fall off a little bit, they'll probably move them. They're definitely going to move them, cut them, whatever the case may be, and start from scratch and find 3 to 4 more guys.
Or they do what they did when not Aaron, but what you did with Jalen. You look around the league, you find one of them young corners that wants out because they haven't been paid, and you strike. What do the Eagles literally just do? Oh, the draft's deep on wide receivers, man. That's amazing. But these picks, though. So you're not happy, AJ. Hey, Jalen, you know what I'm saying? Hit your mans up, see what's going on. I mean, he's trying to move. Okay. You vouch for him? Yeah. Turn on the tape? Obviously. How old is he? That checks the box, too. What's it cost? Oh, picks? Yeah, take them. Take them. Take them. But you do that when you've already spent, you've already put your roster in a place where the picks don't mean as much. But you can't do that when your roster is when you have holes everywhere and your roster like you need to hit in a regular year on 5 of your 7 picks. Yeah, you have to hold those picks dear. You have to hold them close and dear and cherish them, and then you have to hit. But if you don't, you're down bad. If you're a team where you've taken care of business and those picks become ammunition, oh man, you do what you got to do. You just wait around and look around. Oh, that dude doesn't look happy. Come on down. That's the Rams part of it that should be copied. But again, the Eagles took care of the first part. We talked about the Broncos leading up to the draft. Took care of the first part. 3-4 years of solid, quiet drafts where everybody was laughing. Oh, you need a quarterback. You don't have this. Yada, yada, yada. Russ in Seattle had the slowest breakup ever. They've been done for 3 years. Papers finally got signed. And here goes Denver. Oh, so you guys are ready to move on, huh? What's it going to take? Okay, here, take all of it. All right. Look at them. But you got the first part has to be taken care of, and that's the part everybody keeps missing out on, man. At some point, the foundation of your roster has to be solid enough to get to the place where you can be like, F those picks. And if it's not, keep your picks. Get the most out of some picks, man.
You can't start day one with F those picks. You got to get out of
you can't.
You got to get out of first.
You cannot. You can. You can do whatever you want. You can revise it. Right. But that's also why bad teams stay bad, etc. But that's where people get in trouble at. We had that thing happen yesterday. We had something happen yesterday where everybody expected it to happen, but it finally did yesterday. The Honey Badger went home. He's officially a member of the New Orleans Saints. So your thoughts on him joining that loaded defense and how they can use him?
And the Saints went all in. The Saints have gone all in, except for the quarterback position. They regardless of any of us think they have trust in Jameis or confidence in Jameis, and as long as Kamara, whatever's happening with Kamara is okay, if he can play. They went all in. They have, hopefully it's pending to be able to play up to a certain level. But offensively, they went all in, and defensively, they already were a good defense. So adding Matthew to play maybe a combination of that Malcolm Jenkins role, along with matching up in the slot occasionally. Well, they got Gardner Johnson to do that too. So him and Gardner Johnson would be interchangeable, I think, in a lot of ways, where between the safety and slot position. And Matthew's experience, I think, will help even like calming Gardner Johnson down somewhat because he gets out of control sometimes. But I think having another playmaker, a guy who knows the league, can make tackles, and has had success, it's just another weapon to that team because they're not really young on defense. They're really talented, and they're all like in that right age, that right age to win now. I think that's why they went all in. So it's a good signing, and I don't think they had to overpay too much, and I think when they get 3 years, and it's probably not even a real 3 years. So I think that's just a good move for them.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years. I think it was like 3 years, 18 or something. So it really wasn't bad at all, honestly. Yeah, no, I liked it. And again, in this league currently, where you have to have those types of answers or pieces defensively to match up with teams, get them to think, to counter them on the defense side of the ball. Yeah, it's huge. And you're not asking that man to be a savior over there,
right?
Which is the biggest thing for me. Like if you were going to bring him in to be the piece that puts you over the top, or to be that back line, I think that's a little too much right now at this stage. If you bring him like the Saints, I think it's perfect. Yeah, I think with the Saints, it's perfect because, like you said, you got Gardner Johnson in there already. You got solid safeties. He doesn't need to play over the top or anything like that. Come here, come make life, tough on tight ends, and come hang out in the slot. Use your ball skills, your instincts to just be a nuisance. Give us an opportunity where we can play with with just one linebacker on the field at times, with you and Chauncey out there. Do all types of fun, different stuff. Where from a coverage standpoint, we're still fine. You guys both can blitz. You both can tackle. So yeah, I definitely was a fan of it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have any issues with it at all. Definitely interested in how he gets used, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd be interested.
They definitely got some. That defense has been good for the past couple of years, man. It's been really, really good. Was there anything else you wanted to get into today?
Not so much. Just like I said, I was a bit focused on the Cowboy thing so much that I had to vent that out. Probably won't be the last time, bro. It won't be the last time.
I'm sure it won't. But just a reminder, we'll be back tomorrow morning, between 9:30 and 10 a.m. No NBA playoff game. So, it'd be a heavy comments. It would be great if it was a heavy comments section day. Otherwise, just and I figure out some stuff to talk about tomorrow. Again, no NBA playoff games tonight. So I know what I'm doing with my night. I will be at a movie theater by 7 p.m. because y'all out here trying to spoil Doctor Strange, and I'm not for it. Y'all are actively working on it. I got on YouTube yesterday, minding my business, had thumbnails of leaked scenes. Man, I've had to close several apps multiple times this week because y'all don't know how to act. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Sure, there'll be some more sports news to discuss, especially in the NFL, man. Stuff doesn't stop there. And on the NBA side of things, it'll be one night of rest before they get right back to it tomorrow night. Return to action. Thanks for spending the morning with us. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day.